The morning began like any other. Children walked to school. Coffee shops opened their doors, and millions stared at screens, rushing to begin another ordinary day. The skies were clear over New York, London, Beijing, Mumbai. Birds flew peacefully. Nothing seemed strange, but at exactly 10:06 a.m., everything changed. Above the cities, a deep hum began. It was not loud, but it could be felt in the bones. Like an invisible wave moving through the air, shaking windows, making animals panic. Dogs barked. Birds scattered. And then it appeared. A massive shadow fell over New York City. People looked up. Some gasped. Some screamed. A shape had covered the sun. Not a cloud. Not a plane. A ship. It was the size of a mountain, black, silent, and floating without sound. In Tokyo, the same thing happened. A similar ship appeared above the skyline. In Paris, in Cairo, in Rio de Janeiro. Within 5 minutes, 12 ships hovered over the biggest cities on Earth. The world held its breath. In the White House, alarms screamed. Military commanders shouted orders. Fighter jets were scrambled into the sky. Nuclear codes were unlocked, but nothing worked. The jets got close to the ships, then fell from the sky like dead birds. No explosions, no sound. Just silence. The ships were using a gravity field. Nothing could get close. President Maura Stanton stood in the Situation Room, eyes wide. "Have they made contact?" she asked. A general shook his head. "Nothing yet. Try everything. Radio, satellite, Morse code, even smoke signals." Another voice said, "Ma'am, they're already speaking." Everyone turned toward the giant screen on the wall. All across the planet, televisions, radios, and even old devices like VCRs and broken phones, they all turned on. Every screen glowed with the same black and white image. A face. It was not human. The alien's face was long, like bones stretched over metal. Its eyes were black, soulless. Its mouth did not move, but the voice came anyway. It spoke in every language at once. "You are not alone. You are not strong. You are not safe." Children cried. Some people dropped to their knees. The voice continued. "For 1,000 years your kind was spared. Now your time is over. Kneel, obey, or be erased." The screen went. Black. Silence followed. People looked around in fear, hoping anyone knew what to do. President Stanton whispered, "Is this a joke?" A scientist answered, "We scanned them. They're real. And they're not from this galaxy." Panic began to rise. In the next hour, the world fell apart. Markets crashed. Communication lines failed. People ran through the streets. Some hid. Some looted. Some simply stood in silence, staring at the sky. Far away, on the dark side of the moon, something stirred. A small satellite, covered in dust and ice, blinked. Its red eye turned green for the first time in centuries. Inside it, a single word flashed on an old computer screen. Protocol Sentinel-9, triggered. Meanwhile, in the desert outside Nevada, an old man named Colonel David Renner sat alone in a cabin. He had retired long ago, forgotten by the world. But when the sky turned black and the message came, he stood up slowly, walked to a rusted locker, and opened it. Inside was a file. Yellowed, old, stamped with a strange symbol, a winged sword over a planet. He opened the file and read, "If they return, do not trust the governments. Do not trust the satellites. Wake the fleet." Renner picked up an old device, shaped like a thick pen, and pressed a button. A small light turned blue. Across the stars, something responded. Near Neptune's orbit, hidden inside a frozen asteroid field, an ancient station called Echo 7 began to glow. Its systems powered on. Lights flickered, and dust shook from the ceilings. Inside, robotic arms moved. A central AI system came online. A soft female voice echoed through the station. "Hello, I am Eva, Time since last wake, 312 years. Reason for activation, hostile return detected. Waking command crew. On Earth, Kira Marino, a young engineer working for SpaceNet Communications, was watching everything unfold from a high tower in Mexico City. She had seen the ships. She had heard the voice. And now, she was picking up something strange on her old radio scanner. A signal, faint but strong dot. It repeated again and again. Echo 7 to command. Fleet is dark, awaiting orders. Kira frowned. Fleet? What fleet? She boosted the signal, cleaned it, and tried to trace the origin. Her screen showed something near Neptune. That can't be right, she whispered. Nothing human is out there. She uploaded the signal to her secure drive and left her tower, running down the stairs. She had to find someone who would believe her. In Geneva, a secret UN meeting took place. Underground, only a few knew the truth. The aliens had come before, not in full force. Just scouts. Just warnings, and Earth had lost. Long ago, centuries before the first human space explorers found something dark, something deadly in deep space. A war was fought. The story was erased. All evidence destroyed. The project was called The Forgotten War. A councilman said, "We were told this day might come. Why didn't we prepare?" Another replied, "We were told to forget." The world was not ready. The room went silent. Back in space, Ava continued her task. Large chambers began to open. Inside Echo 7. Inside them were pods, cryogenic chambers. Human bodies frozen in time, one by one. Their systems came online. A tall man opened his eyes. His name was Commander Riven Voss. He had fought in the Forgotten War. He had lost his crew, his planet, and his time. Now he was awake. Evie's voice sighed. "Welcome back, Commander. The enemy has returned. Earth is under threat." Riven stepped out of the pod. He looked older than expected. His face was lined, but his eyes were sharp. "Status of the fleet?" he asked. Eva replied, "Offline. Power cells damaged. Only 3% battle ready. How long do we have? Unknown. Earth. Communication is failing. Enemy has deployed city-class vessels. Estimated civilian survival rate, 8% if no action taken." Riven clenched his fists. "So, it begins again." Down on Earth, chaos continued. In Moscow, a resistance group began gathering weapons. In Lagos, street leaders tried to calm crowds. In Delhi, young hackers started tracing the ship's code, searching for weaknesses. In New York, a young boy wrote a message on a sign: "We are still here." The human spirit was not dead, but it was fading. At midnight, the sky lit up again. This time, not with ships. With light. A beam of energy shot out from Echo 7, moving faster than anything made by humans. It passed Earth's orbit in seconds, heading toward Jupiter. Behind it, deep inside Neptune's rings, 12 massive shapes began to move. They had been hidden for centuries, powered down, forgotten. Each one was a battleship, human-made, bold. Technology, but strong. On their sides were names like Defiance, Hopebringer, Valkyrie, Erebus. The Forgotten Fleet was waking up. Commander Riven stood at a window, watching the stars. He remembered his friends, his mission, the promise they had made. "If they ever return," he whispered, "we rise again." Behind him, Eva said, "Incoming message." From Earth, Riven turned. "Play it." It was a young woman's voice, crackling, scared, determined. "This is Kira Marino. I found your signal. If you're real, if you're out there, Earth needs you. Please, come back." Riven smiled. "Prepare." "My ship," he said. "We have a planet to save." The Earth was still silent under the alien ships. People waited, hoping for a miracle. But no help came from the skies. The alien threat remained above every major city. Their ships floated like giant, dark gods watching. For many, hope was dying. Deep inside the United Nations archives, a door was unlocked for the first time in 300 years. 3 people stood inside the old chamber: President Maura Stanton, General Alexis Remar, and Dr. Elena Duval, chief historian of the UN's classified records. The room was cold and full of dust. No one had entered since the 2200s. It was meant to stay sealed forever. Inside were records marked with a red triangle symbol and the words, "Project Eclipse. Do not open unless Earth is under attack." Maura turned to Elena. "Is this what we've been hiding all this time?" Elena nodded. "It's worse than anyone knew." She walked to an old terminal, blew off the dust, and activated the system. A screen lit up with an old logo, a planet wrapped in barbed wire with wings above it. "Access granted." Protocol Sentinel-9. A video began to play. A man in a navy blue uniform spoke into the camera. His name badge read, Admiral Tyrus Vale. Year 2133. This message is for future Earth leaders. If you're seeing this, the enemy has returned. They are known as the Velanther. They do not speak. They do not feel. They only conquer. The video glitched briefly, then continued. 300 years ago, they came to our solar system. Earth was not ready. We lost millions before we understood what we were facing. The screen showed images of burning cities, broken moons, and massive black ships just like the ones now floating above Earth. We created the Genesis Fleet, 12 ships, the best of humanity. We sent them to fight. They vanished. Some say they were destroyed. Others say they went dark to protect the future. Elena paused the video. This was the first war. But the world was never told. General Remar frowned. Why? Because Earth surrendered, Elena said quietly. After the fleet disappeared, our leaders signed a secret treaty. They gave up. The Velanther left us alone, but only if we erased all knowledge of the war. President Stanton clenched her fists. They promised not to return. They lied. Far across space, inside the Echo 7 station, Commander Riven watched an old recording of his own dot. It was his crew, young, proud, smiling. They were preparing for war, unaware that their mission would be erased from history. Now, Riven stood alone. The fleet was waking, slowly. Power was returning. But only 3 of the 12 ships were online. EV's voice spoke softly. Fleet revival at 28%. Weapon systems limited. Time remaining until full Velanther mobilization, unknown. Riven knew what that meant. Earth was defenseless. He turned toward the main screen. Connect me to that signal again, the one from Earth, the girl. Ava replied. Signal locked. Establishing link with civilian comms technician, Kira Marino. Kira was still in her comms tower in Mexico City. She had set up makeshift antennae and a solar power backup. She was one of the last communication experts still online. Her monitor blinked. Incoming transmission. Unknown SURC. He clicked it. A face appeared, strong jaw, cold eyes, military uniform. But the man looked tired. Is this Kira Marino? He asked. She nodded. Yes, you're real? I'm Commander Riven Voss, Genesis Fleet. Her eyes widened. You're from the old war. The one Earth never talks about. We were told to disappear. Now we're all that's left. She leaned forward. Can you stop them, the Velanther? Riven paused. Not alone. I need Earth's help. I need the truth uncovered. If people know what's really happening, they'll rise. If they don't, they'll kneel. Kira whispered. They've already started to kneel. Riven's voice hardened. Then it's time to remind them who they are. In the UN chamber, Dr. Elena Duval showed more footage to the president. One video showed a hidden base on the far side of the moon. Another showed construction, yards in Jupiter's orbit. They had been abandoned after the treaty. One file stood out. Project Blackwall, Elena explained. It was our backup plan. If the Velanther ever returned, the Echo 7 station would awaken. It would signal the Genesis fleet. But what? The president asked. Elena swallowed. The signal was blocked. Someone inside Earth's government. Shut it down. President Stanton froze. We have a traitor. In a luxury tower in Singapore, a man watched the sky. His name was Lucien Core, CEO of a global tech company called Cronus Corp. But he was more than that. He was the one who helped Earth sign the original surrender treaty. His family line had done so for generations. He picked up a glass of wine and smiled as the alien ship hovered above the city. They've come back to finish the job, he said to himself. And this time, Earth will kneel without a fight. Back at Echo 7, Riven entered the cryo chamber. Rows of soldiers lay frozen. He paused at one pod. The name read, Captain Myra Solis. Eva spoke. Do you wish to revive her? Riven closed his eyes. Yes. If anyone can help lead this war, it's her. As the pod hissed open, Mira gasped and woke, coughing from the cold. Her eyes locked. Onto Riven. You look old, she said with a smirk. He smiled. You look frozen. She sat up slowly. They're back? He nodded. And Earth forgot us. Her face went cold. Then let's remind them. Kira hacked into old satellite networks. She began sending Riven's voice, his warning across pirate radio. Ham networks, even through hacked ad billboards in major cities. People began to hear it. This is Commander Riven Voss of the Genesis fleet. Earth was attacked before. Your leaders erased it. Now the enemy has returned. We are waking. And we will fight. You are not alone. Across the planet, people paused. Some listened with fear. Others with hope. In a village in Kenya, an old man turned to the sky and smiled. There. Back, he said. His grandson asked. Who's back? The ones who didn't give up. Meanwhile, back in Geneva, a meeting of world leaders turned into shouting. We must surrender again, said one leader. If we fight, we all die. No, said President Stanton. We cover the sky. With weapons, we help the fleet. But many were afraid. Too afraid. Until Elena played one final video, a message buried deep in Project Eclipse. It was from a dying soldier, bleeding on a battlefield long ago. He looked into the camera. To the people of Earth. If you ever see the black ships again, don't kneel. Don't hide. Fight. Not for us, but for what comes after. Silence filled the room. That night, the sky was full of whispers. Cities slowly came back online. Military bunkers reopened. Civilian groups organized. Underground shelters. The human race had been pushed to the edge. But it wasn't over yet. Inside Echo 7, the power was rising. 3 of the 12 ships were now ready. Defiance, Valkyrie, Hopebringer, Mira, and Riven stood on the bridge, looking at a hologram of Earth. The planet is scared, Mira said. They'll fight when they remember who they are. Riven replied. Kira's voice came through the comms. We just cracked an old code. The Velanther are looking for something. Something buried under Earth's surface. Riven's face turned pale. They're not here for conquest. They're here for the core. Mira turned. You mean the source engine? He nodded. It powers this sector of the galaxy. And Earth is sitting right on top of it. Mira whispered. If they get it. Then not just Earth, Riven said, but the whole galaxy falls. In Singapore, Lucien Core smiled as his personal console received a private signal. It was from the Velanther mothership. He clicked it open. A deep, mechanical voice spoke. Prepare the planet. We begin the harvest soon. Lucien replied calmly. Earth will be ready. Back on the Defiance, alarms began to ring. Eva spoke quickly. Enemy ship detected. Closing in on Echo 7, Riven and Mira ran to the control deck. A Velanther scout ship was heading toward them, faster than expected. Battle stations. Riven shouted. Let's show them the fleet is not dead. As the scout approached, lights on the human ship lit up, cannons charged, shields raised. The two ships clashed in space, light flashing like a star being born. Inside the human ship, gunners fired manually. There were no auto systems yet. Every hit counted. Every second mattered. The Velanther scout ship exploded in a ball of fire. Not before sending a message back to the mothership. They know we're awake, Mira said. Riven stared out into the black. Then we'd better move fast. Darkness still covered Earth's skies. The Velanther ships hovered like shadows. Above every city. The fear was growing. But far beyond Earth's atmosphere, hope was starting to breathe again. In the deep space station, Echo 7. The air hummed with energy. Commander Riven Vos stood on the bridge. His sharp eyes scanned the display of sleeping ships. His fleet was still mostly frozen. But the three ships now awake, Defiance, Valkyrie, and Hopebringer, were almost ready for war. Beside him stood Captain Mira Solis, newly awakened from cryosleep. How long? She asked. Riven replied, Eva says we can start waking more ships if we risk using emergency core energy. Myra frowned. And if the Velanther find us first? Then we don't get a second chance, Riven said. Evia's voice echoed through the station. Authorization required. Begin secondary awakening sequence. Riven and Mira looked at each other. Then Riven spoke clearly. Commander Riven Vos. Authorization granted. The lost fleet, the silent sleeping warriors of the past, began to stir. One by one, the cryopods hissed open, ice melted. Breath returned. The station's lower levels glowed. Screens lit up with names of officers long believed dead. Inside the awakening chambers, men and women opened their eyes. Some gasped, some screamed. All were confused. Commander Riven walked into the chamber. Welcome back, he said. You've been asleep for 300 years. The soldiers stared. What happened? One asked. Riven didn't smile. Earth forgot us. But now they need us. On Earth, Kira Moreno was working non-stop from her signal tower. She was connecting Riven's voice to more channels. People across Earth were beginning to believe. In Argentina, a hidden military base powered up. In Japan, old robotic defenses began scanning the skies. In the Sahara, nomads passed secret messages. From camp to camp. The world was waking, but the leaders were still divided. President Stanton demanded support for the fleet, but others, like the traitor Lucien Core, worked behind closed doors to stop Earth from fighting back. Meanwhile, in space, Eva sent a new alert. Ship signals found Sector Theta 9, 6 Genesis-class vessels. Power offline. No crew response. Riven and Mira stared at the screen. It's them, Mira whispered. More of the lost fleet. But why no signals? Riven asked. Eva answered. Ships appear damaged. Possibly ambushed centuries ago. They launched toward the location with the Hopebringer. The view was haunting. 6 massive ships floating dead in space. Their hulls broken. No lights. Like ghosts drifting in the dark. As the Hopebringer docked with one of the ships named Sentinel, Myra led a boarding team inside. Her boots echoed through the empty halls. Flashlights cut through dust. Then they found it, a message burned into the wall with a plasma torch. They betrayed US. What does it mean? A soldier asked. Mira checked the logs. These ships were attacked, not by the Velanther, but by human weapons. Her eyes narrowed. Someone on Earth tried to erase us permanently. Back on Echo 7, more pods opened. One man stepped out. Older, sharp eyes. His ID tag read, General Cade Renner. He had once commanded the entire Genesis fleet. Riven met him in silence. The two stared at each other. Then a firm handshake. Cade, Riven said. We need you. Cade looked around. How many ships? Only 3 ready. 6 more found damaged. The rest still offline. Then we're almost out of time. Cade turned toward Evie. Prepare training. We have soldiers waking who? Haven't moved in 300 years, Riven nodded. And we have a planet that doesn't remember us. Kira continued spreading truth across the planet. She began broadcasting old war footage clipped together from Elena's recovered data. The First Velanther War, once hidden, now shown on every stolen screen, billboard, and signal tower. People began talking. Protests rose. Citizens demanded answers from their governments. In hidden chat rooms and dark web channels, a new phrase was being whispered: the fleet lives. Meanwhile, deep in Earth's oceans, something moved. In the Mariana Trench, the ocean floor cracked. A structure long buried began to rise. Eva picked it up from Echo 7. Unknown signal detected from beneath Earth's crust. Origin, black core. Facility, Project Tempest. Riven blinked. That place was shut down 200 years ago. Myra looked at him. Or so we were told. Back at Cronus Corp, Lucian Core received a message from the Velanther mothership. A deep, whispering voice spoke. The humans awaken. Their ghosts walk again. Lucian replied, then crush them before they remember who they are. The voice hissed, soon, the harvest begins. At Echo 7, General Cade stood before the newly awakened soldiers. Soldiers of the Genesis fleet, he said. You were told this day would never come. That your mission would never be needed. That you'd sleep forever. He paced slowly, eyes watching him. But the enemy has returned. Earth is under siege. And we were nearly erased. He stopped. But we are still here. Cheers erupted. Let them come, he said. Let them. See what the Forgotten are made of. On the Valkyrie, Mira prepared to test fire the ship's main cannon. Eva confirmed. Weapon systems at 70%. Ready for live trial. Outside the station, a piece of asteroid floated by. Mira gave the order. Target. Asteroid. Fire. A beam of light shot forward like a sword of pure energy. The asteroid shattered into glowing dust. She smiled. They'll regret waking us. Riven returned to Sentinel, one of the damaged ships, and found something strange. In a sealed locker. He opened an old crate. Inside were alien weapons, but not Velanther. Eva scanned them. These weapons match no known species, unknown origin. Riven's eyes narrowed. There's something else out there. Kira received a message. A boy in Istanbul had decoded part of a Velanther broadcast. They're looking for Earth's core, he said. They called it the Seed of Light. Elena, who had joined Kira, gasped. That's not just power. It's the beginning of everything. If they take it, they control the fabric of space itself. Kira finished. Above Earth, the Velanther began to move. Dozens of their smaller ships broke away from the main fleet, heading toward key cities. It was starting. Echo 7 picked up the alert. Riven slammed his fist on the console. We're not ready yet. Cade stepped forward. Then we stall them. They launched the Hope-Bringer and Valkyrie toward Earth orbit. Pilots from the newly awakened soldiers filled the seats. Some were nervous. Others had waited centuries for this. The first battle in 300 years was about to begin. As the ships entered Earth's orbit, the sky lit up with enemy fire. The Velanther scout ships were fast, but the humans were fighting with rage, history, and purpose. Mira shouted orders as she weaved through enemy fire. One ship down. 2 from the Hope-Bringer. A blast knocked out 3 more. Kira's voice echoed through the fleet's comms. People of Earth, look up. The lost fleet has returned. Down below, in cities around the world, people began pointing at the sky. Children on rooftops, soldiers in bunkers, civilians hiding underground. They saw it. Blue fire and silver light. Ships that hadn't flown in centuries. Earth's defenders rising again. Back in space, Riven shouted. Fall back before they overrun us. The fleet retreated back to Echo 7 injured, but alive. 3 enemy ships followed, but when they entered the station's perimeter, Cade gave the command, "Fire station cannon." A single shot exploded the Velanther ships in a flash of light. Inside Echo 7, medics treated injured soldiers. Engineers worked to power more ships. Riven stood over the observation deck. Mira walked beside him. "That was just a taste," she said. "I know," he replied. "The real war starts now." Mira looked down at Earth. "Do you think they're ready?" Riven shook his head. "No, but we are. And that might be enough." The stars were quiet again, at least for now. After the first skirmish in Earth's orbit, the Genesis fleet had returned to Echo 7 with wounded soldiers and broken systems. But they were alive, and more importantly, they had won the first battle inside. The station, Commander Riven Voss stood at the window, staring at the stars. The darkness beyond didn't feel empty anymore. It felt watchful. He knew the Velanther had only tested them. The real attack hadn't begun. Captain Mira Solas walked in. "Status: repairs at 32%. Weapon systems charging. Crews resting." Riven paused. "But something's wrong. That was too easy." Mira nodded. "They're hiding something." On Earth, Kira Marino and Dr. Elena Duval were still working from the underground communication hub in Mexico City. They had just received a strange signal, one not from the Velanther, but from deep under Earth's surface. It was repeating, in a low, pulsing code, almost like a heartbeat. Elena's eyes widened. "This isn't just energy. This is alive." Kira looked at the screen. "You mean Earth's core?" "No," Elena whispered. "Something inside it." Meanwhile, in a dark chamber inside the Velanther mothership, the alien high command gathered. They stood around a circular platform of shifting light. Their leader, a creature of tall shadows and glowing eyes, spoke in a voice that sounded like 1,000 broken radios. "The seed sleeps beneath the world. When we pierce the shell, it will awaken. And then, we consume not just the Earth, but every world touched by its light." Lucien Core, watching through a projection in his private tower on Earth, smiled. "They still don't understand," he said to himself. "They think this is war, but this is harvest." Back on Echo 7, General Cade Renner gathered the top command in the war room. Riven, Mira, Elena, through hologram, and a few senior officers were present. "We've analyzed the last fight." Cade began. "The Velanther could have destroyed us. They didn't." Mira agreed. "They were scanning, studying, not fighting." EVA displayed a new signal on the hologram. It came from a Velanther probe that was now entering Earth's upper atmosphere, but it wasn't broadcasting to the fleet. It's broadcasting inward, Eva explained, to the planet's core. Kira cracked part of the code. She looked up at Elena. "It's trying to wake something under the Earth." Elena suddenly remembered something. She rushed to the back of the room and pulled out an old file from her data archive. It was called Project Hollow Dawn, she whispered. Kira blinked. "That sounds creepy." Elena opened the file. Inside were grainy photos, reports, and an ancient map of Earth marking places deep under the crust. 200 years ago, Elena said, Earth scientists discovered a massive sphere buried deep beneath the planet. Not made of metal, not stone. Something older than Earth itself. Kira leaned in. "What is it?" Elena took a breath. "We don't know. It was classified, buried, hidden forever." She tapped the map, but now the Velanther want it. In a secret Velanther lab, machines clicked and pulsed. Alien scientists studied a glowing object, a shard taken from beneath the Earth in the last war. Long ago. The Velanther commander stared at the shard. "This piece was left behind," it said, in its strange language. "Now we gather the rest." Another Velanther, more ancient, replied, "It is not power. It is memory. It is origin." The first Velanther nodded. "And Earth guards it, without knowing. At Echo 7, Eve reported something unusual. Ship. Crusader 1 of the Lost Genesis class has reactivated in the far asteroid belt. What? Mira said. How? It's been missing for centuries. Riven gave the order. Take the Defiance. Go bring them home. The Defiance launched from Echo 7 and entered the asteroid field. After hours of searching, they found the Crusader silent, floating, but powered. They docked and entered. The halls were dark, cold, but something was still running. Then they found the bridge, and a man. Alone. Old, wrinkled, wearing a Genesis uniform. He turned slowly. You're late, he said. His name was Admiral Reese Calder, the last surviving crew member of Crusader. He told them everything. After the war, Reese said, we were sent to explore the truth behind the Velanther's invasion. We found records, maps, signals pointing to Earth. He paused, and one thing kept repeating. The key is hidden in flesh and stone. Mira frowned. What does that mean? Reese looked at her. It means the core isn't just power. It's a being, a living being. And Earth is its shell. Back on Earth, Kira and Elena saw strange activity at volcano sites and tectonic faults. Pressure was rising. Heat levels spiking. Kira whispered, they're breaking the shell. Suddenly, Eva sent a high-priority alert to all fleet commanders. Warning, Velanther ships forming planetary drill formations. Estimated time to core breach, 6 days. Panic spread across Earth's population. News channels finally admitted the truth. Governments activated global emergency protocols, but Lucien Core had his own plan. He went live with a worldwide message. People of Earth, the Genesis fleet will bring us war. But the Velanther offer survival. Join me. We can build a future together. It was a lie, but many believed him. At Echo 7, Riven and Mira stood over the galactic map. This isn't just about Earth, Mira said. If they unlock the core, Riven finished the sentence, they'll control energy older than the universe. Time, space, life. Cade spoke up. We can't let them dig. Riven nodded. Then we stop them before they start. The fleet prepared for its first major counterattack. 10 ships now powered. Crews trained. Weapons loaded. The mission, strike the drilling ships before they reach full power. But Admiral Reese had one more warning. There's something worse, he said. They're not just using machines. They've brought something else. He showed a recording from Crusader's logs. It showed a Velanther bioweapon, a creature that looked like a machine and beast combined. It stood over 30 feet tall and moved like liquid metal. They call it the Hollow King. Later, in the shadows of the Amazon rainforest, one of the Velanther drilling sites opened. From deep underground, something moved, a crack in the earth, then a tremor, and then a pulse of energy shot into the sky. From every city across the globe, people could see a line of light rising from the Amazon. Kira stared up. They've begun. Fleet Command launched 3 ships toward the site, but something shot back fast. Deadly. The ships exploded mid-flight. Echo 7 confirmed. Hollow King active. Defense perimeter unmatched. Mira clenched her fists. Then we hit it together. Inside the war room, the final truth came together. The Velanther are not here to conquer. They are here to awaken something. That something is buried inside Earth. If awakened, it could rewrite the universe. And Earth was just the beginning. Riven looked across his crew. We're not just defending Earth now. We're standing between the enemy and everything else. Cade added, and we have less than 6 days. Eva blinked. Correction. 5 days, 16 hours, and 23 minutes. In a final scene, we return to the Velanther mothership. The leader places a clawed hand over a glowing crystal dot. It speaks softly. The lock is almost open. The heart of the universe will beat again, and all who walk in light shall fall. The clock was ticking. Inside Echo 7. A massive digital countdown glowed red on the main screen. Time to core breach. 5 days. 8 hours, 19 minutes. Commander Riven Voss stood silently on the command deck, his eyes fixed on the screen. The silence around him wasn't peace. It was the weight of a planet waiting to be saved. Across the room, Captain Mira Solis studied the latest satellite images. 6 Velanther drilling towers had appeared on Earth's surface, each one positioned over weak crust zones. The enemy wasn't just planning to break the planet. They were surgically cutting into its heart. Mira turned to Riven. They're almost ready. If we don't strike now, we'll lose the core and Earth. Riven didn't answer right away. Then he spoke quietly. Then it's time. Operation Skyfall had begun. This would be the genesis. Fleet's first large-scale offensive in over 300 years. 10 ships. Over 3,000 awakened soldiers. Their mission: destroy the drilling towers before the Velanther reach the core. General Cade Renner led the fleet briefing. We'll divide into 3 teams, he explained. Strike teams Alpha and Bravo will hit the towers in the Amazon and East Africa. Charlie team hits the one near the Pacific Rim. He pointed at the map. They're heavily defended. And the Hollow King protects the Amazon tower. Mira frowned. That thing ripped through a cruiser in seconds, Cade nodded. Which is why we don't fight it alone. Inside their launch bay, soldiers prepared for battle. The mood was heavy but focused. Some were still adjusting to this time. Others were fighting for a world they hadn't seen in centuries. One young soldier, Yalan Cruz, checked his rifle nervously. Myra noticed and walked over. First mission? She asked. He nodded. I trained in the Sin Room, but this is real. Mira placed a hand on his shoulder. So is your courage. As the Genesis ships launched from Echo 7, the world watched. Across continents, citizens gathered near screens, rooftops, and hidden shelters. Children pointed at the sky as blue light trails crossed the stars. The lost fleet had returned, not just to survive, but to fight. In the Amazon, dark clouds gathered over the jungle. The Velanther Tower stood tall like a metal mountain. Alien machines crawled around it like ants digging deep. Glowing roots stretched down into the earth. High above, Team Alpha approached. Their lead ship, Valkyrie, flew in low through the trees. Inside, Mira and her squad checked weapons. Remember, she said, the Hollow King is fast, but he's not unkillable. We split his attention. Ava will try to blind his sensors. Copy that, said the pilot. 30 seconds to drop. The ship doors opened. Elite troops jumped out, landing in the thick jungle with anti-grav boots. Laser fire began immediately. Velanther drones attacked from the treetops. The humans returned fire, pushing forward fast. Then, the ground shook. Heavy footsteps, trees fell, and then the Hollow King appeared. It was terrifying, twice the size of a tank. A glowing body of bone, steel, and something else, something alive. Its face was a black mirror, and from its chest burned a red flame. It let out a roar like shattering glass. Mira gave the order. Split up. Keep it moving. The Hollow King charged forward, crushing 2 soldiers instantly, but the others kept firing. One rocket hit its side, making it stumble but not fall. Ava spoke through Mira's comms. Weak spot detected. Base of spine. Suggest. Close-range explosive. Mira pulled a charge from her belt. Cover me. She shouted. In East Africa, Team Bravo, led by General Cade, landed near the second tower. The heat and sand made visibility hard. Velanther spider-like. Machines crawled toward them. Cade raised his rifle and fired. Hold the line, he yelled. We breach the core, or we die trying. They charged forward. Explosions rocked the desert. As the fleet's soldiers fought wave after wave, Cade's arm was hit, but he kept moving. He planted charges on the tower's base and shouted, "Clear the zone." The team pulled back as the tower exploded in a fireball, shaking the sands for miles. Back in the Amazon, Mira ran beneath the Hollow King's body, jumped onto a broken tree, and leaped upward. She slammed the charge into its back and kicked off. Just as it exploded, the creature screamed, its limbs twisted. Then with a crash, it fell to the ground dead. The soldiers cheered. Mira stood, breathing hard. That's one monster down. In the Pacific, Team Charlie had harder luck. They landed near a volcano site where the tower was halfway underground. As they moved in, they found something strange. Humans guarding the tower. Lucien Corps' private militia. "Stand down!" shouted Captain Lane. But the soldiers opened fire. A gunfight began. Confused, betrayed, and furious, the Genesis fleet fought their own people. Back at Echo 7, Riven received the news. "Lucien's given them weapons," he said bitterly. "He's protecting the drills." Alina, watching from the com screen, added, "He's not loyal to Earth, he's loyal to power." Riven made a decision. "Prepare defiance for full assault. We're ending this." After 2 hours of fighting, 3 towers had fallen, but 3 remained. And the Velanther had noticed. In the blackness of space, dozens of ships began to move toward Earth. Their true force: a second wave. Faster, larger, deadlier. They weren't drilling anymore. They were going to crush everything in their path. Inside the Velanther mothership, the leader stared at a hologram of Earth's core. A low voice said, "The shell cracks. The light stirs. Begin the dark bloom." On Earth, strange things began happening. Animals panicked. Birds flew in circles. Oceans grew warmer. In Iceland, a village saw the aurora turn red, and underground, the core pulsed again, this time stronger. A voice echoed through the planet, not human. Not Velanther, something older. Alina heard it through her deep scan device. "It's speaking," she whispered. Kira looked at her. "What's it saying?" Alina's hand shook. "It's asking, who wakes me?" At Echo 7, Riven called an ANCO. "Emergency fleet meeting. We've hit them first. But now they hit back." He pointed at the map. "In 24 hours, the second wave arrives. We hold them here, or Earth falls." General Cade stood beside him. "We need to hit the next tower before they land." Mira raised her hand. "I'll lead the team." Riven shook his head. "You just survived the Hollow King." "I'm not sitting this one out." Riven nodded slowly. "Then we strike one more time. One last blow, before the storm." Inside Lucien Corps' fortress, deep underground, a secret room opened. He stood before a tank of glowing liquid. Floating inside it, a clone of himself. His voice was calm. "When the Earth falls, I rise." He smiled at a Velanther commander standing nearby. "You'll get your core. I'll get my empire." Back on Earth, in the Andes Mountains, the 4th Velanther tower glowed brighter. It had almost reached the core, but above it, thunder roared, and from the clouds, the Defiance appeared. Cannons aimed, engines hot. Riven's voice came through the com. "This is for Earth." The ship opened fire. Missiles flew, drones exploded. Soldiers dropped from the ship and rushed the tower. They planted charges and covered each other. Velanther warriors fought back with claws, spikes, and plasma. But the Genesis fleet fought harder. Then, a final blast lit up the night. Tower 4 destroyed. At Echo 7, Eva updated the countdown. Core breach delay, plus 17 hours. Current towers remaining. 2. Riven breathed out. "We bought time. But not much." Mira returned to the station, bloodied, but smiling. "They know we're not going quietly." Kira received a final code from an old bunker in Greenland. A hidden message, one sentence. "The core remembers." She stared at it for a long time. "What does that mean?" Elena asked. Kira looked up. "I don't think we're waking something dangerous." She smiled faintly. I think we're waking something that once protected us. As the sun set over Earth, 2 Velanther towers still stood. Above, the second wave of the alien fleet approached thousands of ships, all ready to erase a world. But deep under the surface, the core had started to dream, and it remembered its defenders. It remembered the Genesis fleet, and it was beginning to awaken. Earth skies were thick with tension. The Genesis fleet had struck 3 drilling towers and delayed the Velanther. But the cost was severe. Ships were damaged. Soldiers were tired. And the real war was still mounting. Inside Echo 7, Commander Riven Voss walked through the corridors. He saw medics treating wounded, engineers rushing from station to fighter. Every face carried pain and resolve. He reached the war room, where the map showed 2 remaining towers, one on the Pacific Ring and one in Siberia. The countdown clock blinked. Time to core breach. 2 days, 4 hours, 12 minutes. Riven pressed his forehead against his palm. The pressure was crushing. In Mexico City, Kira Moreno worked with Dr. Ilana Duval to decode strange signals coming from the core. Screens showed pulsing waves and half-formed voices in unknown tones. Kira whispered, "It wants something," Elena replied, "A connection. It's reaching out." They realized the core of the seed wasn't just mechanistic, it was alive. But they didn't know whether it was friend or foe. Meanwhile, in the United Nations underground bunker, President Maura Stanton met with surviving world leaders. Radios and makeshift screens around them displayed the Genesis fleet, drilling towers, and civilian unrest. Yet a tension stirred in the room. Some leaders, fearing the worst, still avoided commitment. One said, "We fought the Velanther before. We lost millions. Why fight again?" Another nodded. "Maybe surrender this time ends with mercy." President Stanton glared at them. "Mercy? They will rip Earth apart for the core. No mercy exists." She slammed her hand on the table. "We fight, we win, or we die together." But a voice interrupted them. That voice came from Lucien Core. Appearing via secure link, he was calm, confident, and smiling. "Mora," he said, "you don't see the bigger picture. The Velanther want the core, so do we." Stanton's voice trembled. "You think we can share Earth's power with alien conquerors?" Lucien nodded. "Yes, and more. The core could end energy scarcity, disease, even death. We must direct it, not hide from it." Her eyes narrowed. "That's madness," Lucien smiled. "Call it progress." At Echo 7, Riven and General Cade Renner stared at new intel. In civilian territory, outside of their fortifications, non-government factions had begun to act. Groups loyal to Lucien were armed, organized, and infiltrating military bases. They were not fighting the Velanther. They were working for Lucien's plan. They offered Earth peace, but a controlled one. Cade growled. "He's using fear and hope to push power grab." Riven nodded. "We need proof." He turned to Evie. "Cross-check Lucien's traffic with Velanther." Evie replied bluntly. "High correlation found between Core's data stream and enemy encryption." Riven felt ice rush through him. Below, on Earth, a convoy of armored vehicles rolled near Siberia's tower. Leading them was Colonel Amir Selvaka, decorated soldier of Earth, personally trusted by Riven. He delivered his orders under cover of night. Men were protecting Earth's future. "We strike here, not the towers. We take control from failed governments." The soldiers looked uncertain. They were thinking of their families, their homes. Colonel Selvak spoke softly. "No world can defend itself if the world is divided. Lucien gave us a chance to lead." That chance shattered when Kira rang Riven's COMS. At Echo 7, Riven answered. "Kira? What have you found?" She spoke quietly, urgently. "I traced Selvak's convoy. It's heading straight for your station. He says he's bringing reinforcements." "But I know it's a trap." Riven froze. "He can't get through." "We'll stop it." In the Siberian sky, Selvac's convoy advanced. Tower defenses activated, halting them. But soldiers fired back, crashing earth, smoke and dust rising. A couple of fighters took down anti-air systems. The convoy broke through and fled into frozen forests at the ground entrance of Echo 7. Alarms blared. Riven stood behind defensive barricades as Selvac's forces attacked. Open communication. Riven shouted via loudspeaker, "Colonel Selvac, step forward from one armored vehicle." A soldier with a rifle aimed at him. "Riven," he said calmly, "we're here to save Earth from your old-fashioned war." Riven met him, cold in his eyes. "We don't negotiate with traitors." Sergeant guards tightened their grips. Selvac shook his head, smiling. "We are the future. Step aside or be removed." The two men locked eyes. Selvac's men readied their weapons. The attackers circled on Echo 7's platform. They could storm inside, kill everyone. But the core woke beneath the planet. Its waves pulsed through rock, water, submarine fault lines, even deep space, and reached Echo 7's metallic hull. In that moment, power surged through the station. Flickering lights snapped on. Force fields shielded entrances. Systems REBOOTED. Kira, still broadcasting to Earth, suddenly saw something across the map and gasped. Inside Selvac's vehicle, the engines died. Lights went out. Soldiers cursed. Outside, Selvac felt the earth shake. Trenches cracked. The ground groaned. He fell to his knee. Inside on the platform, Riven stepped forward. "You feel that?" he asked Selvac. Selvac looked away, silent. "Earth rejects betrayal." With a swift motion, Riven aimed a non-lethal stun weapon. The battlefield fell silent. Riven turned to his men. "Let them go," he said. "They've been stopped." Selvac's eyes filled with anger and shame as helicopters flew overhead, extracting his men as prisoners. Riven spoke into the "Kira, tell Earth. Stop, we handle this internally." Kira replied, her voice shaking, "Yes, Commander." Below, the core pulsed again. A wave of energy shot upward, clear, pure, bright. It went through the atmosphere and into space. The Genesis fleet ships registered it. Their systems glowed. Energy filled their tanks. Weapon systems recalibrated and rose to 90%. Riven watched that burst of energy and exhaled. In the UN bunker, President Stanton received the message. Lucian blinked as Stanton spoke. "Selvac's convoy has been stopped. He was arrested. Lucian, stand down your forces." Lucian's face darkened. "I can't. Earth needs direction." Mora said quietly, "Earth needs unity." She ended the call. In a quiet moment, Kira and Elena reviewed the core's data. It was no longer sending distress messages. It was trusting. "The Genesis fleet," Elena said softly. "It let them in." Kira stared at the map. "Which means we're not fighting a war." Kira's eyes glowed. "We're making a stand. Together," Elena whispered. "Together." On Echo 7's deck, Riven walked slowly among his soldiers. They were bruised and battered but ready. They looked like echoes of an old legend come alive. Riven's voice echoed in his mind. "They betrayed us, but Earth did not." He reached the front of the line. "Tomorrow," he said into his mic, "we fight our final strike on the last two towers. Then we go beneath. Then we finish this." That night, aboard Echo 7, Riven dreamed. In his dream, he was in his old warship, alone. The core's energy coursed through his veins like bright fire. He walked down a long corridor, glowing. Then he saw a door with ancient symbols. He pushed it open. Light flooded out. Inside, he saw a figure. Faint, translucent, a humanoid, made of pure light. It said, in his mind, "You are not alone. Keep faith." Riven woke with sweat dripping. His eyes wide. Down on Earth, in underground shelters, people looked at the sky. They saw the burst of energy. They heard the news. Selvac's betrayal stopped. Rich man's plan failed. Army stands behind the fleet. A strange energy protects us. Hope filled them. In the final scene, Lucien Core stood on a skyscraper balcony overlooking the city. Holographic screens orbited around him. Core's energy readings. Core breached timers, the fleet's positions. His face was calm, but his eyes were cold. He whispered, "They chose unity, but this power... will be mine." A hover drone flew in carrying a small black cube with glowing blue lines. The drone landed gently in his palm. He looked at it and said, "Let it begin." The atmosphere aboard Echo 7 was tense but determined. In the hours following Selvac's failed betrayal, the crew had gathered their strength for a new mission. The countdown to the core breach ticked down relentlessly. 1 day, 12 hours, 05 minutes remained. Each passing second reminded them of the cost of failure. Commander Riven Voss stood on the main deck, looking out at the deep space stars. His mind replayed the painful memories of lost comrades and the betrayal that had rocked them all. Yet, now a spark of hope shined in his eyes, the hope of turning the tide with a secret weapon that had been lost in history, hidden on Mars for centuries. At Echo 7, Riven and Mira stood over the galactic map. "This isn't just about Earth," Mira said. "If they unlock the core," Riven finished the sentence, "they'll control energy older than the universe. Time, space, life." Cade spoke up. "We can't let them dig," Riven nodded. "Then we stop them before they start." The fleet prepared for its first major counterattack. 10 ships now powered. Crews trained. Weapons loaded. The mission: strike the drilling ships before they reach full power. But Admiral Reese had one more warning. "There's something worse," he said. "They're not just using machines. They've brought something else." He showed a recording from Crusaders' logs. It showed a Velanther bioweapon, a creature that looked like a machine and beast combined. It stood over 30 feet tall and moved like liquid metal. They call it the Hollow King. Later, in the shadows of the Amazon rainforest, one of the Velanther drilling sites opened. From deep underground, something moved, a crack in the earth, then a tremor, and then a pulse of energy shot into the sky. From every city across the globe, people could see a line of light rising from the Amazon. Kira stared up. "They've begun." Fleet Command launched 3 ships toward the site, but something shot back fast. Deadly. The ships exploded mid-flight. Echo 7 confirmed. Hollow King active. Defense perimeter unmatched. Mira clenched her fists. Then we hit it together. Inside the war room, the final truth came together. The Velanther are not here to conquer. They are here to awaken something. That something is buried inside Earth. If awakened, it could rewrite the universe. And Earth was just the beginning. Riven looked across his crew. "We're not just defending Earth now. We're standing between the enemy and everything else." Cade added, "And we have less than 6 days, Eva blinked. "Correction. 5 days, 16 hours, and 23 minutes. In a final scene, we return to the Velanther mothership. The leader places a clawed hand over a glowing crystal dot. It speaks softly. The lock is almost open. The heart of the universe will beat again, and all who walk in light shall fall." The clock was ticking. Inside Echo 7. A massive digital countdown glowed red on the main screen. Time to core breach, 5 days, 8 hours, 19 minutes. Commander Riven Voss stood silently on the command deck, his eyes fixed on the screen. The silence around him wasn't peace. It was the weight of a planet waiting to be saved. Across the room, Captain Mira Solis studied the latest satellite images. 6 Velanther drilling towers had appeared on Earth's surface, each one positioned over weak crust zones. The enemy wasn't just planning to break the planet. They were surgically cutting into its heart. Mira turned to Riven. "They're almost ready. If we don't strike now, we'll lose the core and Earth." Riven didn't answer right away. Then he spoke quietly. Then it's time. Operation Skyfall had begun. This would be the genesis. Fleet's first large-scale offensive in over 300 years. 10 ships. Over 3,000 awakened soldiers. Their mission: destroy the drilling towers before the Velanther reached the core. General Cade. Renner led the fleet briefing. We'll divide into 3 teams, he explained. Strike Teams Alpha and Bravo will hit the towers in the Amazon and East Africa. Charlie Team hits the one near the Pacific Rim. He pointed at the map. They're heavily defended. And the Hollow King protects the Amazon Tower. Mira frowned. That thing ripped through a cruiser in seconds, Cade nodded. Which is why we don't fight it alone. Inside their launch bay, soldiers prepared for battle. The mood was heavy but focused. Some were still adjusting to this time. Others were fighting for a world they hadn't seen in centuries. One young soldier, Yalan Cruz, checked his rifle nervously. Myra noticed and walked over. First mission? She asked. He nodded. I trained in the Sin Room, but this is real. Mira placed a hand on his shoulder. So is your courage. As the Genesis ships launched from Echo 7, the world watched. Across continents, citizens gathered near screens, rooftops, and hidden shelters. Children pointed at the sky as blue light trails crossed the stars. The lost fleet had returned, not just to survive, but to fight. In the Amazon, dark clouds gathered. Over the jungle, the Velanther Tower stood tall like a metal mountain. Alien machines crawled around it like ants digging deep. Glowing roots stretched down into the earth. High above, Team Alpha approached. Their lead ship, Valkyrie, flew in low through the trees. Inside, Mira and her squad checked weapons. Remember, she said, the Hollow King is fast, but he's not unkillable. We split his attention. Ava will try to blind his sensors. Copy that, said the pilot. 30 seconds to drop. The ship doors opened. Elite troops jumped out, landing in the thick jungle with anti-grav boots. Laser fire began immediately. Velanther drones attacked from the treetops. The humans returned fire, pushing forward fast. Then, the ground shook. Heavy footsteps, trees fell, and then the Hollow King appeared. It was terrifying, twice the size of a tank. A glowing body of bone, steel, and something else, something alive. Its face was a black mirror, and from its chest burned a red flame. It let out a roar like shattering glass. Mira gave the order. Split up. Keep it moving. The Hollow King charged forward, crushing 2 soldiers instantly, but the others kept firing. One rocket hit its side, making it stumble but not fall. Ava spoke through Mira's comms. Weak spot detected. Base of spine. Suggest. Close-range explosive. Mira pulled a charge from her belt. Cover me. She shouted. In East Africa, Team Bravo, led by General Cade, landed near the second tower. The heat and sand made visibility hard, Velanther spider-like. Machines crawled toward them. Cade raised his rifle and fired. Hold the line, he yelled. We breach the core, or we die trying. They charged forward. Explosions rocked the desert. As the fleet's soldiers fought wave after wave, Cade's arm was hit, but he kept moving. He planted charges on the tower's base and shouted, "Clear the zone!" The team pulled back as the tower exploded in a fireball, shaking the sands for miles. Back in the Amazon, Mira ran beneath the Hollow King's body, jumped onto a broken tree, and leaped upward. She slammed the charge into its back and kicked off. Just as it exploded, the creature screamed, its limbs twisted. Then with a crash, it fell to the ground dead. The soldiers cheered. Mira stood, breathing hard. That's one. Monster down. In the Pacific, Team Charlie had harder luck. They landed near a volcano site where the tower was halfway underground. As they moved in, they found something strange. Humans guarding the tower. Lucian Corps' private militia. Stand down, shouted Captain Lane. But the soldiers opened fire. A gunfight began. Confused, Betrayed and furious, the Genesis fleet fought their own people. Back at Echo 7, Riven received the news. Lucian's given them weapons, he said bitterly. He's protecting the drills. Alina, watching from the com screen, added, he's not loyal to Earth, he's loyal to power. Riven made a decision. Prepare defiance for full assault. We're ending this. After 2 hours of fighting, 3 towers had fallen, but 3 remained. And the Velanther had noticed in the blackness of space. Dozens of ships began to move toward Earth. Their true force. A second wave. Faster, larger, deadlier. They weren't drilling anymore. They were going to crush everything in their path. Inside the Velanther mothership, the leader stared at a hologram of Earth's core. A low voice said, the shell cracks. The light stirs. Begin the dark bloom. On Earth, strange things began happening. Animals panicked. Birds flew in circles. Oceans grew warmer. In Iceland, a village saw the aurora turn red, and underground, the core pulsed again, this time stronger. A voice echoed through the planet, not human. Not Velanther, something older. Alina heard it through her deep scan device. It's speaking, she whispered. Kira looked at her. What's it saying? Alina's hand shook. It's asking, who wakes me? At Echo 7, Riven called an ANCO. Emergency fleet meeting. We've hit them first. But now they hit back. He pointed at the map. In 24 hours, the second wave arrives. We hold them here, or Earth falls. General Cade stood beside him. We need to hit the next tower before they land. Mira raised her hand. I'll lead the team. Riven shook his head. You just survived the Hollow King. I'm not sitting this one out. Riven nodded slowly. Then we strike one more time. One last blow, before the storm. Inside Lucian Core's fortress, deep underground, a secret room opened. He stood before a tank of glowing liquid. Floating inside it, a clone of himself. His voice was calm. When the Earth falls. I rise. He smiled at a Velanther commander standing nearby. You'll get your core. I'll get my empire. Back on Earth, in the Andes Mountains, the fourth Velanther tower glowed brighter. It had almost reached the core, but above it, thunder roared, and from the clouds, the Defiance appeared. Cannons aimed, engines hot. Riven's voice came through the com. This is for Earth. The ship opened fire. Missiles flew, drones exploded. Soldiers dropped from the ship and rushed the tower. They planted charges and covered each other. Velanther warriors fought back with claws, spikes, and plasma. But the Genesis fleet fought harder. Then, a final blast lit up the night. Tower 4 destroyed. At Echo 7, Eva updated the countdown. Core breach delay, plus 17 hours. Current towers remaining. 2. Riven breathed out. We bought time. But not much. Mira returned to the station, bloodied, but smiling. They know we're not going quietly. In the control room of Echo 7, Eva's calm voice announced new tactical plans. Integration of the solar lance complete. Defense systems enhanced by 35%. Weapon systems recalibrated and set to counter enemy energy frequencies. New strategic window opens in 3 hours. Riven looked at the countdown on the main screen. We now have a chance to strike the next blow. Our next move will be a coordinated attack on the remaining Velanther towers and their supporting ships. With the solar lance, their energy fields will collapse and our fleet can move in. The crew of Echo 7, still reeling from betrayal and loss, now felt a surge of hope. It was as if the ancient weapon carried with it the determination of all those who had fought before them, a spark that could ignite a revolution. Outside, in the blackness of space, the Velanther ships moved with ominous precision. Their drills ground slowly but steadily toward Earth's core. The enemy had not yet realized that. Humanity had awakened a force that matched their own ambition. Their confidence was shaken by the unexpected appearance of a human weapon from a forgotten age, a weapon fueled by the light of the sun, and the hope of survival. As the countdown ticked closer to the next phase of the battle, Riven and his officers prepared for the upcoming assault. "All units, prepare for the next strike," Riven commanded, his voice echoing over every channel. "The solar lance will light our path to victory." In a quiet moment before the storm, Mira stood alone on the observation deck. She gazed at the solar lance, now safely integrated into Echo 7's system, and thought of all the lives it represented, the soldiers, the families, the generations of dreamers who refused to give up. "This is our weapon of hope," she whispered. "Let it be the spark that sets our future ablaze with light." With renewed determination, the crew of Echo 7 braced themselves for the final confrontation. The power of the solar lance now coursed through their vessel, and the promise of a stronger, united Earth shone in every mind. They were ready to step into the fray and end the enemy's dark scheme once and for all. As Echo 7 and its allied ships moved into position, the red glow of distant drilling towers and the advancing Velanther armada formed the backdrop for the next decisive battle, a battle where the light of hope would challenge the shadows of fear. The mission was clear: activate the solar lance at the precise moment of impact, disable the enemy's energy, and give humanity the chance to rise. With every heartbeat and every command, the fight for Earth's future burned brighter. The silence before the final battle was heavy, like a storm waiting to break. On board the space station Echo 7, every person stood ready. Earth's last hope, the solar lance, had been fully integrated into the fleet. After 7 parts of heartbreak, bravery, betrayal, and unity, this was the moment the human race would either rise or fall. Commander Riven Voss stood in the war room, staring at the large holographic display showing the Earth surrounded by Velanther ships. Their energy drills were nearly complete. Red warning lights blinked around the core area. Only 7 hours remained before Earth would be broken. "We strike now," Riven said calmly but firmly. "This is our last stand. We end it here." General Cade Renner nodded. "All fleet units are in position. The solar lance will be mounted on Echo 7's forward cannon. Once we fire, their energy shield will collapse." Captain Mira Solis stepped beside them. Her voice was full of steel. "And we move in with everything we have. We take out their drill ships and command vessels. One shot, one chance." The AI assistant Eva chimed in, "All systems ready. Energy charge for solar lance at 93%. Estimated full charge in 10 minutes. Launch window opens in 12 minutes." Everyone knew what this meant. The timing had to be perfect. Riven turned to the communication console. "Patch me through to every ship, every base on Earth still listening." A technician gave him a nod. The signal went live. "This is Commander Voss. To every soldier, every civilian, and every voice still alive on Earth, I speak to you now. The enemy wanted us to kneel. They came to take our world, our freedom, our future. But we are still here. We will not give up. We will not go quietly. Today, we fight. Today, we show them that Earth stands tall." The signal ended, and silence fell again. Then, Eva announced, "Solar lance, 100% charged. Target locked. Velanther command ship within range." The massive alien ship, black and jagged like a floating mountain, hovered in Earth's low orbit. Inside, the Velanther Queen, Virexa, watched the humans' movements. Her eyes glowed blue, cold and sharp. "They bring a weapon," she hissed. "Old technology, weak." But another alien officer stepped forward, nervous. "This energy reading. It matches the energy signature of the old fleets." "The weapon is ancient, but powerful," Virexa growled. "No matter, we crush them before they fire." But it was already too late. On Echo 7, the solar lance glowed like a small sun. The energy inside it had been sleeping for centuries, until... Now! Fire! Riven ordered. A beam of pure white light blasted from Echo 7's forward cannon. It shot through space, faster than any missile, brighter than any star. When it hit the enemy shield, the entire Velanther fleet shook. The main shield around the command ship cracked, then shattered like glass. Across Earth's orbit, Velanther's ships powered down. Their energy cores flickered and dimmed. The drills stopped. For the first time, the enemy was vulnerable. Mira grinned. They're exposed. All ships attack. What followed was the greatest space battle in human history. From Echo 7, from lunar bases, from Earth's hidden bunkers and old UN fleets, thousands of human ships rose. Big cruisers, fast fighters, even old war drones, all flew together in one final charge. The human fleet flew like a wave, full of light and fire. They hit the weakened Velanther ships with everything they had. Missiles, railguns, EMP charges, laser beams, all combined in a storm of chaos. Explosions lit up the sky. Some Velanther ships tried to flee. Others fought back, but their weapons were slower now. Their shields weak. In the middle of the fight, the old ships from the Forgotten Fleet returned, powered by ancient II, loyal to Earth's original defense mission. Their commanders, awakened from cryosleep, had joined the last stand. On board one of these old ships, Captain Zara Lennox, a war hero from 200 years ago, led her crew like she had never left. For Earth! She shouted, and her ship tore through the enemy lines with deadly precision. Back on Earth, people watched the skies. The clouds glowed with strange colors from the battle above. From Africa to Asia, from deserts to cities, children pointed upward. Families huddled in bunkers. Soldiers on the ground looked up and held their breath. Then, the impossible happened. A massive Velanther drill ship began to fall from the sky, smoking and broken. It crashed into the ocean, sending waves in every direction. Cheers erupted across Earth, but the battle was far from over. The Velanther Queen, furious and desperate, activated her final weapon, a massive energy sphere around her command ship. "If I fall," she growled, "I will take your planet with me." She began to overload her ship's core. The energy grew unstable. If it exploded, it would destroy everything in low orbit, including Earth's upper atmosphere. On Echo 7, alarms blared. "Elena," Riven shouted. "Can we shut her down?" Dr. Elena Duval looked terrified. "If we hit that energy core with a second solar lance shot, we might stop it. But it could backfire. It might cause a chain reaction." Riven looked at Mira. They had no choice. "Charge the lance," he ordered. This is it. The solar lance began charging again. Time was running out. The Velanther Queen's energy core was seconds from critical. Mira took the shot. The second solar lance beam flew like a dagger. It hit the enemy core dead center. For a moment, time stood still. Then boom. The explosion lit up the darkness like a new star. Echo 7 rocked violently. Every ship was thrown off balance. But when the light faded, the Velanther command ship was gone. Completely gone. Silence. Then a voice came through the radio. "Kira Marino from Earth's surface. Echo 7. We see it. They're gone. The skies are clear." Across Earth, cheers, tears, and celebrations began. Families left bunkers. Soldiers fell to their knees. Cities lit up with signals of joy. The long night was over. Back on Echo 7, Riven sat down slowly. His body ached, his mind overwhelmed. General Renner clapped him on the back. "We did it." Dr. Elena wept quietly. Captain Mira stared out at the stars. "So many lives lost," she whispered. "But we made it. We protected Earth." In the days that followed, cleanup began. Some enemy ships were still out there, lost, damaged, fleeing. But they no longer had power, no longer had leadership. The solar lance was returned to Mars for safekeeping. Earth's nations agreed to build new defenses, not just for war, but for peace, for unity. 2 weeks later, a ceremony was held in Earth orbit. Echo 7 hovered above the blue planet. Below, ships from every country circled slowly, showing the flags of a united Earth. Riven stood at a podium, broadcast across the world. "We stood together," he said. "Not as nations, not as soldiers, but as humans. We are no longer just survivors. We are protectors of our future." Behind him stood Mira, Renner, Elena, Kira, and even Captain Zara Lennox from the Forgotten Fleet. Old and new heroes, united in purpose. Far beyond the solar system, hidden in dark space, other alien empires watched. Some were frightened. Some were curious, but all of them knew now. Earth fights back, and somewhere, in a secret part of space, another voice whispered, "They survived. The humans. We will need a new plan." But that is a story for another time. The END.